The cheapest 60-volt dual-motor, dual-suspension electric scooter on the market in 2024, right here, under pressure. Is it any good? Let's inspect. Hey everybody, great to meet you. I'm the Tech Mishka, and actually I've approached this review with very low expectations because every single time when I'm reviewing something which has the lowest price on the market, well, it turns out to be rather unimpressive in most cases. Well, this here is the Joyor S10, something that for less than $900 is offering two motors with a total power of more than 2 kilowatts, front and rear suspension, 60-volt battery, and a lot of goodies. And I told you about the price. So is this a scam or a legit good off-road electric scooter? Well, in this detailed review, we're going to find out everything important about it, put it under pressure and a lot of tests. So let's get going. Straight to the unboxing part, because we want to see the complete experience from taking it out of the box up until the procedures to be completed before the first ride. And I'll make sure to keep this part as short as possible. You do notice the very small scale of the box, kind of unexpected. Because of the weight, I quickly gave up the idea to lift it, so opening the box from the bottom makes better sense. A good pack. Even some accessories included, the charger, of course, there's a spare inner tube, a multifunctional tool with rather okay quality, the user guide as well. You will need to remove these protective styrofoam blocks, get rid of the folios and so on. The first encounter with the folding mechanism reminded me of the good old days when electric scooters were still a new and weird way of traveling. Then comes the handlebar, a bit tricky procedure. The good news, it is having components typical for bicycles. The bad news, to be able to lift the extension tube, better unscrew the top up until it's loose, then pull it up, then tighten so that the tube doesn't go back down. The loads of grease on the surface is frustrating, and it took me a while to get rid of it. If you don't, doesn't matter how tight you keep the mechanism, it will still go down when riding on bumpy roads. It is nice that you can put any bike handlebar that you like, so you can easily go much wider than that. A modest upgrade suggestion, you know? That's pretty much everything that requires some technical skills before the first ride. Yeah, charging the battery, checking the tire pressure, these are traditionally good ideas. And if I were you, I'd closely inspect most of the mechanisms before going on a ride because of the price point, just in case. Nothing to worry about based on my experience thus far, though. Specs are also very promising. Two motors, 1 kilowatt each, 18 ampere-hour battery supposedly good for up to 85 kilometers range, maximum speed is about 60 kilometers per hour, 10-inch fat tires, front and rear hydraulic disc brakes, easy-to-use folding mechanism, dual suspension system, bunch of lights, colorful display, and weight of just above 27 kilograms. If you just listen to the specs, this is a mind-blowing configuration because in terms of price-performance ratio, it actually beats Kirin, which are the champions thus far, providing the most for the lowest possible price. I think the Joyor S10 sounds even more tempting because think about it, we have a front motor, we have a rear motor with total output of close to 2 kilowatts, front suspension, rear suspension, battery which operates at 60 volts, which means that the whole pack would easily cost above $2,000 if it comes from a reputable brand. And I feel that Joyor thus far have kind of a flying start. Now the big question is, where are the corners cut so that they can fit all of that within the price which is less than $900? Well, the first sight construction feels solid, the scooter is not that heavy, and if we look at the details, even some of those are actually good because if we think about the grips, they're not the lowest grade on the market. We have hydraulic brakes from a brand you can immediately recognize, being Zoom, and based on specifications, the S10 sounds like the big deal. But the even bigger question is how all of these specs convert into real-life experience. Let's find out. The motor testing comes first. Having no damper, this is yet another scooter where I don't recommend exceeding 35 to 40 kilometers per hour or 15 to 25 miles per hour, respectively. Because at high speeds, the handling might be tricky. Because this is an off-road scooter, we're gonna check how quickly it accelerates to 35 km per hour. Always wear protective gear regardless the speed. For the record, most scenes filmed in this video are with a speed lock at 25 km per hour, something you can adjust by unplugging the blue wire inside the left front turn signal. Once you do this, the scooter becomes bike lane illegal in most of the EU countries, and something that is a subject of registration before going on the road. It was actually nice to see that the wire was sealed, so was the turn signal, meaning that there is some sort of waterproofing after all. By default, the scooter arrives in the so-called Eco mode, where you need to kickstart it. You can also tune this in the advanced P settings. Once you start the scooter, only the rear motor is active by default. Press and hold the plus button in order to activate the front one as well. Kind of a beast mode, because acceleration is so nice. No clue about the torque inside these motors, but Joyor claimed that up to 30-degree slopes can be climbed in duo motor mode. This can really be a whole lot of fun. If you just got hyped because of the so awesome acceleration, let's go for a cold shower. Because the batteries inside are not from some popular brand, I guess similar quality to what Cook Kirin deploy in their scooters. Should still be alright, and given the 1080 watt-hour capacity, range expectations are pretty high. Well, if you really hope to make these 80 kilometers on a charge, you need to weigh 65 kilograms, ride on a flat terrain, use the cruise control all the time, single motor mode and so on. In the mountain, with 2 motors active, a lot of fun, modes 2 and 3 combined, about 30-ish, and you will be lucky. Still, that's more than enough for an awesome ride, because your hands will get tired anyway. The battery will recharge within 12 hours, which is a lot of time, but so is the total capacity of the battery. And since I mentioned about the tiredness, yeah, there are 2 aspects with the lion's stake in terms of contribution. The suspension is not as good. I mean, it is nice to have. You can feel that it responds, but it is quite far away from the comfort that others could provide. It is a basic rocker arm suspension, no actual shock absorber inside. It feels rather stiff while riding on other than flat terrains. Yes, there clearly is a better feeling compared to a scooter with no suspension, but there are much better solutions out there. On the other hand, seems to be reliable and rather lighter than others, plus I never felt like I've bottomed it out. The other side of the coin when it comes to comfort levels is the handling. I'd say it right away, to me the handlebar feels not high enough, even at its maximum level, and I'm actually not that high. If you are bent while riding, you will start feeling some sort of back discomfort after a while. If we put this aside, the rest is great. Super wide deck, super comfy, good position for your feet, wide handlebar. There's a lot to like about the handling too. And since I've not been gentle to the scooter at all, not even for a second, I can conclude that the build quality is fine. Let's agree that it is rather average. Nothing is too shiny or remarkably wow, but there also aren't any components to disappoint. The rear fender has interesting mounting, and if you push it, it will make contact with the tire. Not that nice. The folding mechanism is on the other hand almost indestructible, just a little outdated concept, and requires a bit of a pull to lift the safety lock in order to fold it. Not sure whether everybody will feel comfortable with it, but as stated earlier, Joyor don't go for the cheapest kind of gear, and even the grips on the handlebar are actually good, perhaps among the best I've seen on a budget and mid-range scooters thus far. The same observation is confirmed by the brakes. Hydraulic disc brakes from a company which is among the most recognizable Chinese brands, famous for delivering good quality at a given price, excellent responsiveness, reliability and consistency. The 10-inch tires are rather standard, off-road oriented too, but may lack a grip when the hills are too steep and you're in dual motor mode. Looks like we've covered everything but the controls and the display, right? Yeah, this one looks pale. I had to wait until dawn in order to record this part. At night, perfect visibility, but in daytime, you have to stare every single time in order to check what is the mode or the real-time speed, which, while you're in motion, is particularly distracting. The controls are conveniently placed on the left with the throttle lever on the right. It's all nice and easy. There even are a bunch of P settings that you may adjust or not. Make sure to photograph the defaults, because there doesn't seem to be any easy option to restore the factory defaults. From these buttons, you can also trigger the front and the rear lights. There even are turn signals, hard to see in daylight though. So, before the wrap-up, can we pile up the drawbacks thus far? Well, there is no waterproof rating. Joyor claimed that riding the scooter in rain is gonna be okay, but I feel that the most vulnerable part is the cap above the charging port. This is simply dangerous and designed in an irresponsible way. The cap goes up by itself, and I can imagine some bad scenes if some water falls in. The panel display is also worth mentioning, together with the lack of ignition key as a protection and the absence of a smartphone app. In the end, if you don't mind the rather stiff suspension, which is probably very difficult to upgrade, I think this is the deal of the year when it comes to dual-motor, well-performing, off-road oriented electric scooter for less than $1,000, actually for less than $900. It is legit, it's not a scam. A whole lot of fun to ride. That's a Joyor S10, something I can easily recommend. Of course, two really big questions are left yet unanswered. How this performs in the long run, maybe after 1,000 or 2,000 kilometers, and what's up with Joyor's support, which I never really have the chance to try out. But if you have some experience with any of these, please join the comment section below the video and let everybody else know and see what others have to say about this very moto. So thanks a lot for watching this episode. I'm the Tech Mishka, and it was so much fun to prepare all this for you. If you want more, subscribe to the channel for more cool tech inspections. Ride safely and responsibly, because it's not just you on the road, it would be a lot of other participants. And I guess I'm gonna see you in the next episode. Bye!